Hey guys, we are nearly there. This is episode 29, the penultimate episode of the Fun Facts About Fasting series. And today I'll be talking about what things I found most difficult when I made this series. So if you are thinking of making a series in any format, maybe some of these difficulties might be of benefit for you. So let's get straight into it. The obvious one, the most obvious one is time. It took a lot of time to make 30 YouTube videos, 30 separate Instagram reels, make the thumbnails, write the descriptions, find the tags. Even though some of it I could copy and paste, but still a lot of time editing the videos. I think for me, by far, it's the amount of time that I didn't realize it would take. I knew it would be a lot. I didn't realize it was this much, but I think a lot of that time was more so than it could be if I was able to record these videos in batch. I mentioned in the previous episode, episode 28, about some lessons that I learned. And also one of those lessons was to edit in batch. So I think the difficulty was not being able to do that for most of the episodes. And part of that difficulty, another difficulty with that, is not being able to actually record this video or this series, sorry, prior to Ramadan, to doing it already and then just using the hours during Ramadan just to edit and release, edit, release. So not being able to batch record a lot of the things, I think was the biggest difficulty, because a lot of the time I was recording day before and then editing and then releasing the next day, and then once I released it, start recording the next one, and without realizing that takes a lot of time. And as you know, I have three different jobs at the moment, so getting all of that organized, and then the YouTube channel, and then making sure I'm free around 6 each day to release Instagram reels, because that's my most active time, is not easy. One of the other things that I've realized that was a big difficulty was making sure everything is actually on and working. I know that sounds quite obvious, but because I'm shooting off an iPhone, don't have a front-facing camera, one of the biggest things is make sure I'm in frame. I've learned over time roughly that I know, okay, I'm in frame, and then in post, when I'm editing, I can reframe the video so it looks more centered and more like I'm in the frame, not that I'm sitting here, or that I'm up here somewhere. So that's also been a big difficulty. I am looking to obviously invest in a camera soon if I see a good deal, so I can have that front-facing monitor, as well as more flexibility with shooting the videos. Another one is with the audio side, making sure this was on, this was working, making sure, sometimes one of the videos, this didn't save, so when I recorded the audio, I have to save it. For some reason, there was a glitch, it didn't save. And luckily, I had the audio that was still on the iPhone, which was still half decent. I don't think many people could tell the difference, to be fair. But many who've watched my videos could see a difference between just the iPhone and having this slightly more higher quality type of audio. So the thing I most found difficult was making sure that this was also on and recording properly, because a few videos I actually ran out of space on my iPhone, and I was recording and talking and it already cut off because there was not enough space, so I had to re-record half of that video again. Even the video, episode 28, I realised my space just accumulated so quickly, I didn't realise, and then I lost that video. I had to re-record that again and delete some kind of old videos off my iPhone, because I've not had time to sit down and organize everything, because I'm too busy recording, editing, releasing. So I'm hoping, kind of end of this week, I can go through everything, get rid of what's duplicated, get everything off my iPhone and stored on my iMac, or Google Drive, for longer preservation. So yeah, definitely found make sure this was working, because again, another difficulty with this whole equipment side is halfway through recording this one time, this is what I'm referring to, is not a piece of air, is my softbox where the light comes through. That turned off, and then had to quickly find the power socket and then plug it in and then carry on recording. So making sure the light, the audio, that light, this is working, audio working, was a bit of a challenge, especially because I'm doing this so many times, because of so many videos in X amount of days. That has been difficult. Another thing is trying to keep up, because every time I was too tired, I was now accumulating stuff that I needed to do again, because I didn't do it that day or I didn't prepare it that day. So trying to keep up, keep consistent. I had understandable circumstances in some parts of this month. Sometimes I was just tired, working and then recording and trying to will myself, especially this final few episodes. I can't explain how tough it's been to get here and then record and press that button. And it sounds so obvious, just record. But your brain is like, you've done enough, that's it. Sometimes you get close to the finish line and then you just veer off a tangent and you don't want to finish. That getting over that finish line has been difficult. And I think the difficulty I face is being consistent and making life more easy for me. So recording in batch or keeping up to the routine. But because you have a person has 3 different jobs, routine can sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes be very, very difficult. And then that obviously affects your schedule for making videos. So keeping consistent has been very hard. That's for sure. But this is the 29th episode, and we've got one more left to shoot by Wednesday. Now, I mentioned this in the previous episode about lessons I learned, but I also do think it's worth mentioning again as a difficulty because it's quite applicable to anything that you do, and it's not being upset about how the video has gone. And I've made so many videos in this series, so many Instagram reels, so many posts, and yes, it naturally hurts when after a week only 2 people out of the entire world has watched your video. But as I talk about a lot and I try to remind myself, that's 2 more than nobody. It could be nobody watched your video, but you've maybe helped 2 people. So people decided to spend time and watch your video. So I hope it grows as my channel grows, as I grow as a person and as a videographer, as a YouTuber, content creator, all the different times. I hope people can tune back in and say, oh, I'm interested in looking at forms of fasting. Oh, I didn't realize there's this series on YouTube called Fun Facts About Fasting that I could watch. Or when people land on my Instagram page, there's all these little reels they can watch, which only takes 30 seconds. So I think not being bogged down by somebody else did a similar video and it went like thousands of views. You do it the same, but maybe even better in your opinion, but it didn't get much traction. And that's where comparison is the thief. I'm sure as many people know. And I just focused, and I've been quite surprised at how focused I've been on just making the content and releasing it. That's it. That's all I can do. Just focus on that and get on the next one. And I think even though it's a difficulty, a little silver lining has been doing this daily has not allowed me to have time to reflect in a bad way and say, right, these videos are awful. I'm not even getting past 10 views on YouTube. I've not had time to think about that. I think that's been quite a blessing, believe it or not. And for those of you who've been watching, who've been keeping up with the series, thank you so much because, seeing 0 views is obviously going to be even more upsetting. But as I try to mention, I just focus on what I can control. But that for sure has been a difficulty. Not getting bogged down with the views, the metrics, and how well the video has gone. And along the lines of this whole notion of, focusing on trying not to focus on things you can't control. Another thing that I found difficult is not being worried or not being too worried about how does the algorithm perceive this series, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube. Now, I do think on Instagram they do like you posting quite often, like every day, but it's also about how useful those posts have been, how much engagement you get. If you make so many posts every day and nothing happens, I'm pretty sure the algorithm will be like, this content is not worth it. Let's, kind of limit it in terms of its reach. And I know with YouTube, doing something daily isn't always ideal. There are a few channels who post daily, but many people generally don't. They generally kind of 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes even once a week. If you follow Dude Perfect, this, once every 2 weeks. So making sure that consistency stays there. And I know YouTube, the algorithms will be like, okay, you were doing it every day and now you stopped. But I'm hoping that that isn't too much of a case, but more importantly, that is not why I made this series. That's not why I made this series. I did not intend to say, right, what could I do to benefit the algorithm? I knew full well it's probably not ideal in terms of the outreach and the growth, but I wanted to make a resource that could benefit people around the world and they can tune in whenever they wanted to tune in to learn about facts about fasting or to educate themselves on if they wanted to instill fasting in some part of their lifestyle to try and help their body, their mind. And I think I've done that, and that's what I wanted to set out to do. If a few people watched it and benefited, great. If people haven't, I'm gonna try myself not to worry about it because that's out of my control. And last thing I want to mention within this is that yes, I want to now curate and look at what went well, what didn't go well, and I'll do a separate YouTube video on that. And if I'm going to do another series, what I'm going to make sure I do or don't do, kind of like a hindsight reflective type of video. But looking at difficulties, I think if I was to summarize them, in all honesty, as you can see over here, it's the time it took, not being bogged down on how it's going to be viewed, and keeping up with the consistency and the discipline to record, edit, and release. So that has been a list of some of the difficulties I faced and I had whilst doing this 30-day series or 60-day video series, whichever way you want to look at it. And it's been a challenge for sure. Now, if I was to put this summary video in 10 seconds, it has been a massive challenge. But the other 10 seconds would be, I've thoroughly enjoyed it and I would love to do it again very, very soon. But I hope you enjoyed and benefited from some of the difficulties I've shared. If you're interested in doing like a series of some sort, whether it's video, posting, writing, or series that's like a habit, this has been a habit for 30 days. I hope some of the difficulties may be of useful for you, so you can make sure you don't have that amount of issues when you go on your type of series. But in any case, as I've mentioned in every episode so far, I shall see you for the next episode, which now in this case will be the final episode of this Fun Facts About Fasting series, episode 30. See you there.